Okay. So we are starting our lesson on page 46. You should be on page 46 of your notes. We're talking about horizontal and vertical lines. For those of you that have filled out notes, if I give you filled out notes, I want you to know that I write extra stuff on here because I feel like it's helpful. So don't just rely on use your filled out notes and just add to them. Okay. Just add to them. So although they don't fit into the classic linear model, it's important to understand how we write equations for horizontal and vertical lines. The first exercise will illustrate the idea. Never forget, though, that when we create an equation for a curve, it just simply describes what the points on the curve share in common. Okay? So, shown below are horizontal and vertical lines. Olivia asked last week how to tell the difference. Do you remember that, Olivia? Who can tell me how to tell the difference between a horizontal and a vertical line?
Oh, right, yeah, I do.
Cheyenne.
Horizontal is when the sky meets the water.
Yeah, the horizon is when the sky meets the water or the sky meets the earth, right?
I was having trouble naming them. I knew which one was which. I just didn't know what the names were.
Okay, so when I look at these two graphs, which one is horizontal? The first one. I'm going to highlight it so you can see it. This is a horizontal line. Horizontal. So I want to ask you, where does that graph cross the x-axis? It doesn't. What axis does it cross? It crosses the y-axis. So that means that it doesn't matter what the value of x is. It only matters what the value of y is. What is our y? 4. So there are 2 points on this graph. This first point is -3, 4. And this second point is +5, 4. And that's what the first question underneath the graph says. Write down 2 coordinate points. So -3, 4 and 5, 4. The second question says, what do they share in common? Yeah, they both have the value of 4. So what does that mean in terms of a horizontal graph? It just means that y is a constant. The y value is constant. So your y value is constant. And when I say constant, what do I mean by that? Well, the y's will always be a 4. And if I say that the y is a constant, that just means it's a number. It's just a number, no variable term added to it. Okay. So what is the equation of this line? Well, we just wrote it up top. It's y equals 4. Now I want to go to the vertical line. And I want to label it as a vertical line. So I'm going to highlight it so you can see it. Maybe highlight this pink. So this is our vertical line. And where does this cross the y-axis? What? I said, where does it cross the y-axis? It doesn't. It only crosses the, and where is that? At x equals 2. What are the 2 ordered pairs that you see on that line? Yeah, 2, -1, and 2, I think it's 4. 1, 2, 3. I think it's 2, 4. Okay. So what do those 2 points have in common? They have the same x, right? They have the same x value. So when I think about the equation to this line, I know that x is constant, meaning it's just going to be x equals a number. X is just going to equal some number. And here it's x equals 2. I want to go back because we learned when we talked about these lines, the day that we were talking about these lines, we were talking about their slopes. Do you remember that? So I want to kind of remind your brain about their slopes. So talk to me about the slope of a horizontal line. It's 0. Yeah, I want to talk about why that is because I feel like every time you guys have a question like this, you ask me.
It's because it can't go it can go up or down, but it can't go left and right.
So when I think about a horizontal line, I have no what? I have no to go from this point right here to this point right here. How much do I rise? I rise 0. How much do I run? I run 8. 0 divided by 8 is 0. So when you have a 0 in the numerator, your slope equals 0, and that is horizontal.
So like if it was vertical, you can only rise, right?
Yeah, so let's look at that. I want everyone to write that down because that's important. So for the slope of a vertical line, I heard you guys say that the slope of a vertical line is undefined, and I want to talk about that. So let's just use the 2 points that we have here. If I went from the point at the bottom, if I went from here to here, how much do I rise? I rise 5, but how much do I run? 0. So a 0 in the denominator equals undefined, which is vertical. And it's because you never run, right? You cannot divide by 0. And your calculators say different things. Sometimes your calculator says divide by 0 error. I think that Desmos calculator says divide by 0 error. Your handheld calculators in here say domain error. And then sometimes they don't say divide by 0 or domain error. They just say error. Okay. Does that make sense? Don't forget about the slopes. The slopes are important. Okay. All right. So,
Good morning, Patriots. Please pardon this interruption. Teachers, in a few moments, we're going to conduct a shelter-in-place drill as scheduled. At the sound, if you will go into practice mode for the drill, someone will come around and check doors, and the drill will conclude with an announcement similar to this. Again, we'll get around and check rooms as quickly as possible, but we will conclude the drill with an announcement. Thank you.
I didn't see that on the schedule anywhere. Did you?
We did have it somewhere. I just forgot about it.
Okay.
Where's the place?
So the shelter in place, we're all going to kind of wedge up into this corner. So once that alarm goes off, Cheyenne, Kanaya, and Mackenzie, if you guys would push the desks forward, those desks that you guys have, push them forward. Will you grab the other one? And everyone's going to kind of wedge themselves back there. Okay. I will shut off the lights. Is that happening at 10 o'clock? Yeah. Yeah, I was actually, it's horrific if you don't know what you're doing. I was in a school where a student brought a gun. So it's really a terrifying thing to think that, like a real gun. Yeah, it's not funny. It's horrible. It's not funny. When you think about throwing yourself in front of a bullet to protect your children, it's really scary. And when you have your own children in the building, like where are my kids? All right, so really fast. Horizontal lines. We know the equation to a horizontal line is y equals a number. We know the equation to a vertical line is x equals a number. So, which of the following represents the vertical line? So, vertical lines have what kind of equation? What does it say up there? X equals what? X equals a number. So, if I look at this ordered pair, I know that my vertical line is going to be x equals a number. So what is the only number that x could be? Yeah, x equals 5. Because that's the x coordinate from the ordered pair. Okay. X equals 5. Okay. So for examples A through F, we have horizontal lines and vertical lines. So if it's a vertical line, I know it's X equals a number. If it's a horizontal line, I know it's going to be Y equals a number. So tell me about example A. X equals positive 3. It's right here. This is the line. That's okay. That's okay. So what's the next one going to be? X equals negative 4. This is the line that we're talking about. Y equals negative 1. Okay, let's everybody move. You gotta be quiet. Guys, right here along this wall. Chris, over here. Come on, right here. Sit. Chris, Jonathan, come right here. Will, sit down. Scrunch right there in front of the girls. Scooch, scooch, scooch. Quiet, quiet, quiet. Thank you.
right, Patriots, this concludes our drill. Thank you for your cooperation. You may begin your lesson.
Thank you, guys. Go ahead and have a seat. We're gonna finish this up. Go back to your desk so I can hurry up and get the girls' desks put back where they belong. Please. Alright. So I want you guys, while the screen is off, you do DEF. You do DEF. Write the equations for D, E, and F. Write the equations for D, E, and F. You should be able to do that with no problem. Garrett, what'd you get for equation D? X equals 5. Perfect. Rosa, what did you get for equation E? Yes, ma'am. I know that. What'd you get? Y equals what? Perfect. What'd you get for F, Hannah? Perfect. Y equals 2. All right. The equation of a vertical line passing through this point. So we have a vertical line. I want to talk to you about, suppose that you can't remember if it should be X equals or Y equals. What if you were to just make a sketch of your X and your Y axes, and then you were to draw a vertical line? That'll tell you that your line is passing through what? The X axis, right? Yeah, so that tells you that you need an X equals. Good job. Again, if you forget, you can always draw a sketch of your X and your Y coordinate grid, and then draw a little horizontal line to remind you of what you're doing. Where does your horizontal line cross? The Y axis at Y equals 2. Okay. This last one is, we're going to draw these 3 lines. We're going to draw these 3 lines, and then we're going to determine the shape and determine the area of the shape. Y equals 2. That's a horizontal line. X equals -1. That's a vertical line. Then the last line that I have is this, y equals 2x minus 4. My slope is 2, or 2 over 1. And I begin at -4 on the y-axis. So I begin at -4. From there, I go up 2 over 1. And I continue that pattern. So we're asked to tell what kind of image this creates, what kind of boundary these lines make. So these lines make a triangle, and we have to calculate the area of that boundary. Does anyone remember the formula for the area of a triangle? It's base times height divided by 2. So how do I know which one is the base and which one is the height? Do you guys remember? What am I drawing on the screen? What did I just draw up there? Yes, the base and the height are always perpendicular to each other. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a measurement of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 4 times 8 divided by 2 is 16 square units. Yes, ma'am. 16 square units. Okay. So your homework for today is pages 4